All right. So let's just talk about blockchain for good. This is a subject that I think is super important. One of the things that we focus on at Women in Blockchain Talks is diversity, inclusion, equity. And when I think about blockchain technology and what it stands for, I think about the egalitarian values of transparency, trackability, traceability, of course, immutability, and what that comes with in regards to equity. When we think about tokenization, one of the key words that comes up is equity. How do we change that equity? How do we use this technology to leverage the wealth that is in the world? Most stats quote that 1% of the population owns most of the wealth in this world. That's not right, that's not correct, especially when we see so much poverty and so much distress around the world. So this technology is here and it's here to stay. So how can we leverage it, and what are we all doing to help create communities, create businesses, create enterprises for good using this technology and also social impact ultimately. So without further ado, I'd love for you, Doro and Sian, to introduce yourself. So please, Doro, go first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Doro Unger-Lee. I'm Senior DevRel at Avalanche, and I focus on university engagement. So I work with students, I work with faculty, I work with campus-based incubators or student blockchain organizations across the globe. And why do we do this? Why do we engage with universities as an epicenter of innovation? I think it's very obvious that a lot of innovation and young talent comes in and brings in new ideas. We have the next generation who really embraces that technology, and we have faculty really as thought leaders around the globe. So we have a wonderful community across the globe where we work with, you know, not just CS and engineering students and faculty, but really faculty from all fields, students from all backgrounds, to really drive the adoption of the technology and really also showcase the positive ripple effects that technology can have. So happy to be here. Thanks, Lavinia.
Perfect. Sian?
Hi, everybody. My name's Sian Young. I am a co-creator of the Center for Sustainable Action and SDG Assessment, and now SDGA.io. So I'm new to this field, so thank you for welcoming me into the crypto space, because basically I want to see that change. And we found by working with small businesses that they need that change, but there's that big gap between funding and really viable projects around sustainability and inclusion. So we basically started by listening to small businesses who were doing amazing sustainable projects, but needed to get funding and they needed to verify the actions they were taking. So that's when we built an app that got top fintech app in Hong Kong Fintech Week last year. And that's just one of the many accolades that app got. It's built on 12 years of research, so we love collaborating with research fellows and really basing it on solid knowledge. And then we realized that there was a gap. We needed a token. And so currently, right now, we're minting on Solana, 8 billion tokens. And that means 1 token for each and every one of you. So if you're concerned about the amount of plastic that's in your brain, that's in your bloodstream, projects that could change that and are financially viable, not getting the funding because of the demographic they come from, or, you know, just reasons that, I don't know, they have a cloaking device or something, I'm not quite sure, then, you know, that's what we're bringing, is the democratization of sustainable funding.
Perfect, thank you, Sian. Okay, so my first question is directed to you, Sian. As an expert in digital transformation, how do you envision blockchain technology driving positive social change, particularly in the areas of sustainability and financial inclusion? Now, I know that you've touched on it, but it would just be great if you could expand on how you see that and the future of it, so to speak.
So the way I see it as in financial inclusion, I think it's best for me to say a project that's already happened, because we're new and we're building, right? But a project that already happened is Save the Children. They done a peer-to-peer blockchain transfer, which meant that unbanked people could get funding. They could share finance with each other, which there's 601 million unbanked people that have mobile phones. So that's how I see the financial inclusion aspect of of this. And like I said, I'm new to this arena, and I'm like a kid in a candy store who saw blockchain like, woo, look what we can do with this. Like, we can literally, each one of us can decide with blockchain, decentralized finance, are we going to change this, or are we not? So that's why I see it. And then because I've worked in sustainability for years, teaching people how to live sustainable, teaching businesses how to build that into their structures, and then how to get funding because they're sustainable, and we teach them with our app, can prove it, I see that we can have all them good projects, like I've met lots of them here, can get the funding they need to bring sustainability forward. But what is exciting about blockchain is that all of us now can decide if we want to take action in that way or not.
Perfect. Doro, now you are part of Avalanche. And one of the things that we have seen in the blockchain technology space, proof of work, proof of stake, and that seems to be as far as the conversation goes in regards to sustainability outside of sustainable economies and the industries even in and of themselves, such as gas, oil, energy. And there was a great talk that happened on the main stage today just talking about the sustainability of energy and how we can leverage that. So based on your experience, what are the main challenges in using blockchain technology to drive meaningful real-world impact?
Well, I want to say two things. So one of them is obviously the SDGs comprise more than sustainability. That's just, people say sustainable development goals, talk about, carbon credits and such. But SDGs also include financial inclusion, economic growth, no poverty. And I always want to invite people to think of the ripple effects that the blockchain technology can have, right? So if I can make an extra $10 because I can invest in tokenized real estate with $5 a month, and that allows me to buy school books and go to school, or pay off my loan quicker and accumulate some sort of limited wealth, right? That's a ripple effect of the technology. I mean, there's tons and tons of examples like that, where the blockchain technology in its decentralized nature allows you to participate in markets and applications that normally has been offered only to a few percentages of the world community. And then in terms of obstacles, I think a big issue is education and capacity building. So if you talk to TradFi institutions, if you talk to policymakers or regulators, if you go to a parliament meeting here at the House of Lords or to your local city council, a lot of people do not understand what blockchain technology is, and then we waltz in and we talk about DeFi and tokens, and it's very complicated. And from my point of view, the biggest obstacle is building knowledge and doing it in a way that is reflecting the audience's need, right? So if I have, let's say I talk to the World Food Program and they want to leverage cryptocurrencies to provide humanitarian aid quicker and faster, what do they need to know? They need to know how quickly can the person get the money, how can they get the money, what do I need to onboard them, and what's the cost per transaction, right? How does it compare to shipping a plane of hard cash to Afghanistan versus onboarding users with their smartphone or even their, the basic flip phone onto receiving aid via crypto rails? So I think we need to communicate in a different way and really push a lot of efforts toward capacity buildings at all levels.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's quite interesting to me because when I was doing research around this subject, most of the case studies that came up was looking more at philanthropy, crypto philanthropy, rather than actual business use cases that are using blockchain technology because it's just the best technology, but using it for social impact. And that's not to say that there aren't ideas out there, but there's a difference between having the idea and being able to execute on the idea, particularly or because of funding. So I think funding is a big barrier towards many entrepreneurs. And I will say, because of the community that I build and I manage, Women in Blockchain Talks, there's many women entrepreneurs who are interested in social impact, want to build on the blockchain, but the funding is just not there. So with that being said, this question is pointed to you both. How can collaboration between different stakeholders in the blockchain and sustainability, or SDG and SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, the UN Sustainable Development Goals, sectors foster innovative solutions that create real-world impact? And if you can give an example, that would be great.
Sure, I can take that. I mean, I think it's most important to have conversations and not just be in the crypto bubble, but actually talk to institutions and talk to organizations that work in this space and see what the issues are and the problems are. So a big issue that, you know, institutions or programs, let's say like the World Food Program or any United Nations organization faces is if they give funds to beneficiaries, they want to know as much and as little at the same time as possible, right? So they want to know who is the funds for, what are they buying with it, and when do they come out of the need state, right? So not every beneficiary stays a beneficiary forever. So if I pay aid via blockchain and know their wallet address, I can see what they're doing with their money. I can see all their transactions. So the issue is obviously privacy, right? They really value privacy a lot. And then it was, you know, mentioned at the conference earlier, how we have like AVC now where we do have built-in privacy for the blockchains that people are building. It's a built-in feature, and I think it's very important that the stakeholders come together and really listen to the needs, and I think that's really a strong point of Avalanche, because you can build your own L1 how you want it, you can build your own solution how you want it, you can cater to the specific needs and build the privacy in, and I think we need to be able to tailor solutions to all stakeholders, and communication is the key for that.
Yeah, communication and collaboration. We have a cooperative. The Center for Sustainable Action is a cooperative. And so, like you said, listening to the people who are actually doing the projects are the front line of the community that they're doing the projects for. But then I come to an event like this, and you know, the people who are building and our CTO for our project, like his mind is absolutely phenomenal, what he's building, right? But I've never seen him on the stage here in a dress telling everybody about what he's building, right? So we need collaboration with marketing people, with people who can tell stories. We're human beings, we love stories, right? So we need to come together. We have all different skills. We need talks with universities, we need talks with VCs, we need to all understand each other. And also regulatory, you're looking at the way governments want to bring regulation in. And sometimes if you're like deep in technology and you just want to build it, you maybe don't get why that person is so like, you can't move further until you do this. But if you just take a moment to think, that person has a whole different life experience that is valid, and they understand the power of where they're coming from, just like when you're building technology, you understand the power of what you're building. And if we all could just get around the table and collaborate and not feel like if someone's here, it's going to take away from what you're bringing, like bring your talent to the table and all collaborate, and then we'll have phenomenal projects that are completely unstoppable. So collaboration, and that's why we built a cooperative, because that's a revenue share model. We're not saying like, build with us and we take all the profit. We're like, the more you build, the more everybody gets, right? And I thought, when I first heard about blockchain and this solution for what I've been working on for years, I just see the potential in that decentralization. And I thought that that's what blockchain was about. I thought it was a community of smart people who could solve the world's problems if we come together and we understand we're all different. Somebody's gonna look at me and think like, who's that girl in the big dress, right? And then somebody else is gonna come and understand that that's how I get people to see our projects. But then the people behind the project, I cannot underestimate the smarts that is going on behind what we're building. So I love collaboration, and I love deep research. I wish all organizations would just come together and communicate and share that, and then we'll be powerful.
I think.
What do you think? I see you nodding your head, yeah? Yeah, like put your hand up. Come on. Do you think it's possible if we all just get together? Yes, it's a room of possibilities.
Of course.
Yeah.
And Avalanche is definitely the blockchain to execute on those possibilities. With that being said, Doro, you work with a lot of the universities. What are you seeing on a grassroots level that has made you think, wow, the future is bright? And for me, when I think about universities, most people think of just young people, but you have older people going to universities, mature people who've got life skills, life experiences, and bringing that knowledge to the forefront. So are you seeing any sort of projects that have made you think, wow, in regards to social impacts and SDGs, this would be really powerful? And how is Avalanche supporting that?
So I think, so the short answer is yes, I've seen lots of good projects. And also for those of you who don't interact with the Gen Z every day and younger, the future is bright. They may be on calls in pink satin pajamas, but they have great ideas and they bring them to the table, and they don't give a crap what they wear, but they care about the content, and they care about underlining opportunities and creating boundaries, which I admire very much. And to name some specific examples, so I think we need to, as I said, look at the ripple effects of blockchain technology. So a lot of applications that we have drive social change without having a big flag of like social impact at the front. So one project that comes out of South America was participant in our Codebase incubator a couple of seasons ago. They enable digital signatures on blockchain in Latin America. So while you think like, how does that have to do with social impact, the signatures? Well, it depends on which culture and country you live in. A simple signature on a contract is sometimes easy to lose and not have validated, and putting that on chain, as you said earlier, makes it an immutable record. And then also think of any payments solution that is happening in Avalanche. Think of the migration that's happening right now due to sustainable changes in our climate. We have a lot of folks who are migrating in different patterns, right? It's not all refugees, it's people who are going back and forth. You have remittance payments. So back in the day, people would go to Western Union. Western Union would take a big chunk of change for that, and you would send your money back. And now with blockchain-based payments, it's much easier to send money fast, transparently, and really affordably above all. So while the world community is moving about due to climate change and conflict zones around the world, blockchain offers possibilities to create payments that are cheap and affordable and directly come to the end recipient. So I invite everybody to look at applications again, and with the ripple effect glasses on, and think, okay, so if I can do this with blockchain, what does it mean to the recipient? What does it mean to the consumer?
Wonderful.
Can I add a second to that?
Yeah, sure, please go
I
ahead.
just want to add a demographic that was not mentioned there, digital nomads, like technological people who are traveling around the world and have absolutely no fixed abode, being able to use blockchain payments as they move around the world and do what they're driven to do. Like you're saying, the boundaries are being put in place in the next generation, and they're saying, no, I don't want to live that way, I want to live this way, and this technology is enabling that freedom. So that's a...
For sure. I was going to say, this is a nice segue into the adoption zone. How many people have checked out the adoption zone just across? Okay, so if you haven't already done so, please do check it out, because it's a great way to see the work that Avalanche is doing, the sponsors who are there, of course, and also the possibility, as Shah talked about, possibilities are here to be built and for us to manifest. The other thing that I wanted to highlight, if you're not already aware, there's a hackathon happening this weekend at Spitalfields. So if you're not aware of that, check it out, because, of course, hackathons are a great way to connect with others and for ideas to be created and social impact ideas to be created. So, Sian, you've been doing what you've been doing for a long time, and it's very, you're very passionate about it, and you talked about how you are using a blockchain platform, whose name we shan't mention again, and to create the tokens. Is there any other projects that you've heard or seen over the last couple of days here at Avalanche, or that you're just aware of that's blockchain based, that's made you think, wow, I love what they're doing, I find that quite inspirational? Can you share that with us in regards to...
Yeah, we've only got a few minutes, so I can't share them all, but one that I just spoke to that is like the end piece to our project is in the, is it Discovery Tent? What's that?
The
adoption area.
adoption zone.
In the adoption zone, there is a project that is basically like a credit card where you can spend your cryptocurrency everywhere, right? And this is like the end piece, because we've been talking to Kenyan farmers who do fair trade coffee. And what happened is they were doing very well. They were trading globally through a cooperative. And then they made so much money and it just disappeared out the bank account in Kenya. Like, how does that happen, right? So they want our solution so they can keep the wealth within the network. But then you've got a coffee farmer at the end of the chain who doesn't know what to do with his cryptocurrency. And that solution right there, like we're booking a call, because that is the end, that is the collaboration part. It's like, now we've built this chunk in the middle. We've got the assessment process to make sure they are sustainable before we put them towards the DAO. And then now we've got the opportunity to collaborate with an Avalanche project for the coffee farmer to go buy what he needs for his family from his coffee. So I love it.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. To you both, in your opinion, what are the key policy and regulatory considerations that need to be addressed to scale blockchain-based solutions for social good? Now, I understand that you're not lawyers. However, compliance and regulation, even, I'm not a lawyer, but this is just something that one just needs to be aware of in order to bring forth ideas and to, to just see the progress of this space.
I mean, yesterday Lord Holmes spoke on the main stage, and it was, he was a brilliant speaker, I must say. I love the British humor. But he said, the myth is always like, oh, you drive regulation forward, that means you kill innovation. Right. That's actually not the fact. I think overall we need to, if you're asking me specifically what we need to drive a framework overall so everybody can move forward and not be in this pause mode. Yeah. And secondly, we need very clear identity standards. I think that's something that we're still struggling with, and that, having clear standards for identity in Web3 would drive a lot of innovation forward.
So, not a lawyer, right? You might have noticed. And when this question was given to me for today, I was like, I've got to do my research on this one, right? Got to get that answer right. And then, so there was a lot that I wanted to say to you. But then yesterday I listened to that talk as well. And I realized that again is the collaboration piece. My brain is never going to be into like figuring out regulations, but I know they need to happen, right? And so just like, is it Lord
Holmes?
Lord Holmes said, and I'm going to be honest on this stage, since we're all friends, okay? I was thinking, like this, right? Then I went home and I thought about my attitude, and I was like, he's one of them collaborators that could be very powerful in the conversation around making this normal for everybody, making digital nomad as just a solution. Like it's at school, what are you going to be, a digital nomad? Okay, right? Making it that smart so that you don't get scammed. Because when I said I was talking about blockchain for good on this stage, someone asked me, are you talking about scams? I said, no. You know what I mean? So then we need to make sure that the people who know, and I'm not one of them, but I'd be happy to get around a table and help with the sort of human element of how then policies interact with the projects and with the people on the ground. That's where collaboration comes in again. So I absolutely know that it needs to be regulated, but I'm not an expert in that area. So I would like to listen to him again with a more open mind to understand the power of what he brought to the table. So I think we need to just all like kind of open our hearts and minds and hear what other people who are coming from a point of view that, my little sort of, free the world person inside was going, no regulation, but it's actually, it's key. It's key to moving forward, and I want to be speaking to the people who know what they're talking about in that area so that I can help make these projects like a farmer in Kenya getting his money, you know, his family eating, because the decentralized finance and blockchain is the way for it to happen. So that's my point.
So what I will say to that, and thank you for sharing both, is that as touched upon, regulation and compliance is key to the forward movement of blockchain technology. And of course, it looks different in different jurisdictions. And if one isn't aware, there are APPGs here in the UK, which is all party parliamentary groups. And there's one for blockchain, there's one for Web3, there's one for metaverse, digital assets. Some are more bigger than others, others are more established than others. But it's a great way, if this space is important to you, to, as Sian and Doro touched upon, to collaborate with leaders who are leading on the regulation and compliance side. So it might not be our bag or what we're good at, but it's good to know what is happening in that area, because it's going to have an impact on our business and it's going to have an impact on our industry. So I just wanted to put that out here, since we're here in, you know, the UK, and that's one of the things that is happening. I don't know what other countries do, but that's what we have, APPG, and you can find out the different groups if you go to the parliamentary website. Okay, so we've only got 1 minute and a bit left, so this question is to you both. What advice would you give to businesses and organizations looking to explore the potential of blockchain technology to drive positive change, to have that social impact? Doro.
You know, come to our hackathon. Like, everybody thinks hackathons is just for kids in hoodies who don't sleep all night, but it's really for everybody. Like, we have educational content, we have people from all backgrounds and all cultures coming together. Even if you're not technical, you know, come to the hackathons, come to events like this, go to a meetup, and you can show up and be like, I know nothing about crypto, and you will get the help. You know, or like reach out to me and I can connect you to your local university. I know almost any blockchain faculty on the globe under the sun, where you can, we have a professor here from UCLA, whoop, whoop, yeah.
Whoop, whoop.
So, you know, find these people and just ask questions. And what I found, the blockchain community is incredibly open and inclusive, so you don't have to be afraid if you're new to the space, and just look for the conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah, first is thinking about what are your outcomes, what are you trying to do? So really sitting there and looking at your project plan, what are you trying to do first? How are you going to reach there? And then solutions like hackathon. I went to a hackathon, I felt like mom and pop in crypto. I was like, who is at the hackathon? With cooperative members, and we built a solution to keep the wealth within cooperative movement. So these are great spaces, and just be brave to show up, and just be honest, what you do know, what you don't know, what your strength is and your weakness, and then you'll find your people that accentuate your weakness, and you will help them with their weaknesses. So collaboration again.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to connect with us, please take a picture, find us on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to continue this conversation, Blockchain for Good. Thank you so much.